It's tack time again. In 5 days, we're flying to Utah for Total Archery Challenge. Today, I've got a little tuning to do on my bow. I need to get this thing dialed back in. So we're gonna walk you through my process. I'm gonna show you how I paper tune the bow. I'm gonna do a walk back tune. I am going to put a new sight tape on because my arrows are a little bit lighter than the last set I was shooting. And then lastly, I'm going to do some long distance grouping, make sure everything is flying great. These are just some of the steps that are involved in tuning a compound bow, but I'm going to show you these because these are really important. And today, as I'm getting ready for this tack event, this is what I need to do. I think my arrows are coming out a little bit sideways. Some of the shooting I've been doing, I'm noticing a tweak. I don't know if I bumped something on my rest, but it's time for a tune. So let me get these cameras set up for you guys, and let's start with the paper tune. I was showing you all kinds of cool stuff and I wasn't recording. Rookie mistake. As I was saying, setting up my paper tuner here. That target behind there is a little crooked, but it's gonna do just fine to stop those arrows as I get through this paper. So this is my homemade paper tuner. It's made out of PVC pipe and a roll of construction paper. I've seen paper tuners going for a lot of money, hundreds of dollars online. You do not need to do all that. Head to your local Home Depot, get yourself some PVC and some fittings. You need some corners and a couple of T's, and you got yourself a nice paper tuner. So let's put this thing to work and make sure these arrows are dialed coming out of the bow before we move on to the next step. And we'll just pull this up. And you have yourself a paper tuner. Okay, I think that's gonna do it. So we've got our paper tuner set up here, and the goal is to make sure that arrows are coming straight out of our bow. From the beginning, when it's clearing this riser, we wanna make sure that that arrow is dead straight. And the way you do that is by shooting through paper like this and ensuring that you have what we call a bullet hole, right? What we should see with a well-tuned bow is just a perfect hole with some cuts for each of the veins. Now, so the arrows I'm shooting have 4 veins with a little bit of a helical, so we should see a nice clean cut 4 ways around a hole. Now, if we see a tear in either direction, whether that's left, right, up, down, that's where we know we have to make some adjustments on our bow to ensure that from the beginning of that shot, your arrow is clearing and shooting straight, right? That's key. So let's get this thing tuned. I'm gonna shoot a couple of shots. I expect there may be a little bit needed, but again, it's hard for me to tell shooting a lot. I shoot a lot here in Central Texas, and a lot of the times it's pretty windy. That'll make your arrows kick side to side as you're shooting, especially when you have a crosswind, and it makes it tough to tell if your bow is shooting straight and you're just getting blown by the wind, or if it's time for a tune because you bumped something. So either way, we're gonna find out today. It is dead calm today, is the perfect time to do this outside. Beautiful morning. And let's get these shots in and see what it looks like. These new arrows look nice. I like them. Look at that, that's clean. Got that white wrap. All right, make sure I'm lined up with the target. So you just wanna make sure that you're really focusing on your form here, because you can make a lot of different tears just by having poor form. Okay, let's see what we got. You know what? Honestly, okay. This usually doesn't happen. I'm gonna shoot a couple of more and then I'm gonna take you close. I think we're perfect. I think this is good to go. Those look great. Now mind you, I have been doing a lot of shooting, and I thought that something may be going on, but I think it's the wind. The wind's been wild. Maybe I'm just getting used to the wind and forgetting how much it impacts my arrows. Let me shoot 2 more here. Make sure we get 3 holes. I think we are dialed. Well, this is going to be easy. All right, let's take a look. These are our 3 shots here. So we've got 1. This was our first shot here. 2, 3. Now this one was close to this other one, so again, it's kind of breaking through, but I'm not changing anything. That is absolutely perfect. You can see here, you have a perfect X. That shaft just made a perfect bullet hole through the center. I am so happy with that. That does not happen. I am telling you guys, this is so cool. Look at those. All right, well now I'm gonna have to demonstrate what happens when you don't get a perfect bullet hole. So let me talk about that a little bit. For those of you that tune your own bow, come on, that's awesome. That does not happen. For those of you that haven't done paper tuning in the past, it's very, very rare that you think you need to do a tune and you shoot your bow through paper and you get a perfect bullet hole like that. I will take it. I am not touching anything on that rest or on those cams. Now, that said, this bow has been worked over and tuned very, very specifically for me probably 8 months ago at this point. And what's great is that it's clear that it's holding its settings and its tunes. But let's talk a little bit about what would happen in a scenario where we did need to make some adjustments for a paper tune. So I'll flash something on the screen here, but basically when you're shooting through paper, if you're not getting a bullet hole like we just did, you're gonna be in a scenario where you're getting a tear in a particular direction. So that tear may be high or low, meaning you'd have a vertical, up or down rip in that paper, indicating that your arrow is coming in low or high as it comes out of the bow. And then you can also, of course, have a left or right tear. And in any of those scenarios, you're ultimately impacting your downrange accuracy. Yes, with these fletchings and the way these arrows are built, they will straighten themselves out, and you can shoot some fairly consistent groups no matter how that thing's coming out of the bow, as long as it can stabilize consistently downrange. But that said, there's a host of benefits to having that arrow come dialed out of that bow and shoot straight out of there, from clearing obstacles and being able to shoot lanes, but also from the most efficiency and consistency perspective. You're gonna have the least drag on that arrow as it's coming out. It's gonna be dialed from bow to target or bow to animal in a hunting situation. So really important to make sure that your bow is paper tuned as a good first step. Now, what happens if you have a tear? Well, I'll flash something else on the screen as well, but essentially, you can change the way that your arrow is positioned vertically and horizontally by adjusting the knock height on your bow, by adjusting your rest, and even by adjusting the cams. Shifting the cams left and right is a common way to do this type of tuning. We'll have more in-depth videos on each of those methods once we get this bow shop built. We're working on that now, so excited to show that to you guys. But for now, it's time for me to walk back tune and take this to the next step. Let's go talk about that. Hope you guys like the classic Redworks hat. This thing has been around for a few years. Seen better days, but it's still one of my favorites. So second step, I'm gonna do some walk back tuning with this guy. The idea behind walk back tuning is we are gonna get locked in at 20 yards, and then we're not gonna move our sight, but I'm gonna step back all the way likely to 30, 35, maybe even 40 yards. My target's pretty small, so we'll see how far my arrows are dropping. But the idea is as you walk back, and as you walk back without moving your sight down, your arrows are gonna fall further down the target. They're gonna get lower and lower. Now what you wanna see with a well-tuned bow is a straight line down the center of that target. Now you can put a line of tape down the center. I'll probably do that here today. You can hang a string, but the important part is that you're looking for arrows that flare either out to the right or out to the left as you get further back. And if it does happen, that's indicative of a micro adjustment that needs to be made to your rest. Now, the adjustments it takes to fix this sort of tuning issue, where you get a little right or a little left at a farther distance back, is really minor. So minor that it's very likely not going to impact the bullet hole that you have. A lot of people say, oh, why would I want to walk back tune? I've already got it paper tuned. Or why would I paper tune? Because I know it's shooting straight out of my bow. Well, the reality is just minute adjustments on your rest can have big changes in trajectory down range. So that's what this does. I've got my bullet hole. I know I have a great starting point from a tune perspective, but now I got to take it one step further, and I have to make sure that that bullet hole is heading in the right direction long range. So that's what we're going to do. We'll start at 20 yards. We'll back up to 40 yards. Intermediate shots in between there. And if we have a straight line down the center of that target, we're golden, nothing else to change. But if we see those arrows moving out to the right or moving out to the left as we back up, then we're just gonna make some tiny adjustments on the left-right of our rest, and we'll clear that up real quick. Okay, let's get into it. So now we're gonna really focus on getting our 20 yards here. I wanna make sure that my left-right is just perfect and my up-down is just perfect, and then we'll start the walk-back process. I think I'm just a little bit low. Let's bump it. Now, I'm not shooting groups here, I'm shooting spots. So this target has 7 different circles, and I'm shooting at a different circle each time. Now, I do like to shoot groups as I get longer distances, but especially at 20 and 30 yards, if you practice and you keep grouping, you're gonna be busting arrows all the time. And this is a brand new set of arrows, and I don't wanna bust them yet. I'm gonna shoot at the top left, or top right spot. Okay, maybe just a hair right. I'm gonna shoot at the top left spot. Let's see if I'm hitting there consistently. Yeah, I think my up down is good. I think maybe just a little bit right. Now at 20 yards, I mean, we're talking about an inch or less. I was just aiming for that center X. But again, as that difference or that little bit of variance in your sight, when you get back to 100, 120, 130, shooting these long bombs, you're missing the target. So make sure that you're spending the time at 20 to really dial it in, even if it's just these minor adjustments. If you can shoot well, make sure you tune well. To fix an arrow that's a little bit to the right, I'm gonna move my sight towards that arrow. So I'm gonna move my sight to the right. And try 5 micro clicks. See where that puts us. Oh, yeah, that looks good. was me. Yeah, I think we found our 20. So let's go grab those arrows. This is our 20 for sure. 3 X's. That is a perfect X. Look at that. This is me, this is me. That's the reality of shooting a bow. I am not an Olympic archer. I'm gonna try to be. That is the perfect X right there. That's the sign. We know it's good. We now know where our 20 yards is on our sight tape. I've got my sight locked in. Now keep in mind, the tape that's on here is for a different setup. So you see, let's see if you can focus on, see the needle there? This is the pin I'm using up here. And I'm obviously way above where my 20 was on this setup that I'm just switching from here. Now that's okay. I mean, I know where my 20's at, I can shoot, I can tune, but the next step in this process is gonna be putting a new tape on or actually adjust where that dial is so my numbers on my dial match to reality. But right now I'm just focused on walking back from 20 yards to about 40 yards, letting those arrows drop down the target as I get farther back and seeing if I see any drifting from right or to the left. All right, let's get into it. There's a couple of ways to do this. This is a really small target. I think this might be 18 inches, maybe 2 feet, but it's small. And if you're doing this type of walkback tuning, you need some vertical real estate on your target because as you walk back, if you don't move your sight, your arrows are of course gonna drop. And that's what you want because you wanna be able to see that drift to the left or right. The other piece though is that I wanna make sure that I have something consistent to aim at the top of the target so that I can continue aiming there and let my arrows drift. So I'm gonna just use duct tape for this. The gray should show up well on that white. So I'm gonna put a gray spot at the top of this target and shoot for that gray spot each time. And of course, as I get past 20, it's gonna drop down and it's gonna give us that view of whether I have a nice straight line or whether I have some drift to adjust. Okay, so this is gonna be our aiming spot right here. Let's try to get this nice and centered. So I'm going to be aiming here at 20 yards, and at 20 yards I should be hitting right about there. But then as I back up, my arrows are going to drop down. And again, if I'm going in one direction or another, that's how I know I need an adjustment. Now, some people like to put a line of tape all the way down. Some people like to hang a string. I'm not going to be that precise. This is what we're going with. And if there's any driftage, I'm going to be able to see it. 20 yards, we're just aiming at that top gray spot. I would say my 20 yard is dialed. Dang, I think that split that thing perfectly. You can't plan that. I'm happy. Okay, now let's just move it back. I'm not moving my sight. Let's head to, let's go to like 30 yards. All right, let's see where this puts us. I'm gonna shoot at that same gray spot. The arrow's gonna drop lower, but I'm looking for any left or right variance. Now, of course, if you get left or right variance, shoot another one. Make sure it's not you, because we all can shoot left or right without trying. But again, the idea is to look at the pattern as you get farther back here. So again, I'm just aiming at that gray dot, the same place I aimed the first time. Okay, so take a look through the binos. To me, this looks really good. My first arrow from 20 yards is dead center in the target, meaning my initial left to right setting is good. I'm now back at 30 yards. I'm aiming at the same spot, and that arrow looks dead straight down the middle. Let's take this back even farther. We'll go to maybe 35 yards. So let's just bump back here. It's about 5. You don't have to be precise with the distance here. Just make sure that you have enough clearance on your target so you don't lose an arrow in the ground. Okay, back at about 35, 40 yards here. Let's see what this looks like. Okay, let's go see how they look. All right, so I tell you what, looking straight down this target, I am happy with that. So we've got, yeah, I mean that looks pretty darn good. From 20 to 30, we look great, and down there at 40. Yeah, we look good. I've got one slightly to the left, one right in the center, one to the right. That's just me. That's the groups. I think our walkback tune's gonna be good. Man, this is working out nice today. Let me get you a front angle of this. So this is what I'm looking at here. So this arrow on the top. So this was 20 yards, of course, shooting at this spot. Moved down to the 30 yards, and again, nice straight line down. I'm comfortable there. Now, as we get into 40s, you can see my group's getting a little bit bigger here. But, I mean, again, we got centered here. Just for kicks, we'll shoot one more, make sure we repeat that. And if this is good and consistent in the center, we'll call this a good walkback tune. Oh yeah, we're gonna call that good. Look at that. So 20, 30, 40 yards, nice straight line right down the center of the target. That is exactly what we're looking for. 20, 30, 40 yards, beautiful. I'd say we can call this thing walk back to tuned. Did I catch a fletch on that one? Oh, arrows came out alive. So now we're gonna put a sight tape on this bow. I know my sight tape is off and it's ready for a new one. Made a couple of changes, so wanna make sure that we're dialed in. I am using the HHA long range sight tapes that come with the sight I have. I'm shooting the HHA Tetra Max. I have the Picatinny option that mounts right on the front of my Hoyt VTM there. The other thing I really love about the sight is that it comes with 2 sight tape dials, so you can swap on and off and make some quick changes. You could have 2 different arrow setups if you wanted to. For me, it's really handy if I'm creating a new sight tape because I can put the setup tape on one dial, get it locked in, and then immediately set up the other dial with the actual tape and just swap them out. So less peeling, it just makes for a cleaner install. But that said, the sight-in process, you're gonna take the setup tape that comes with your sight. Now on HHA, it looks like this here. And you're gonna put that on your sight, and you're gonna align your 0 to your 20 mark. So where I have 20 yards locked in, I'm gonna put that pin right on the 0 of that tape. Then I'm gonna start shooting and walking back until I get back to 60 yards. Now as I move back, I'm gonna have to move my sight a little bit at a time. Now as I move back, the sight pin is gonna land on one of these reference numbers here on this setup tape. Once I get back to 60 yards and I've found my good pin at 60 yards, I'm gonna know what reference number I need. So you can see up here, like on this sheet, 57, 58, 59, 60, whatever number I'm on, that's the sight tape I need to use. Then I simply just take that dial back to that original 20 mark that I had, put the new sight tape on, and on these sights I can go all the way out to 115, 120. So let's get it going. All right, so this is our setup tape. And so I'm just gonna take my extra dial here, and I'm gonna apply this setup tape on there just as straight as I can. Okay, there you go, setup tape looks good. Just putting that setup tape on and making sure my top pin that I have set at 20 yards is exactly on that 0 mark. Right in there. Come on, let's see if we can get to focus. There we go. So I'm just making sure that that top pin is exactly on that 0 mark there. And I'm gonna lock that down, and then we are ready to sight this thing in. So we're back over here at the target. We have our setup tape on our bow. We're gonna start working our way back from 20 yards all the way to 60 yards, and we'll keep turning this dial and turning that sight as we get further back. The goal is to find our perfect 60-yard mark. Here we go. Now we are sitting at 43 yards. Let's see where we're at. I'll give you an idea on the tape as well. I think that was actually pretty close. Okay, yeah, so that was low. So 43 yards. Let me bump this up until we get this back to center target, and then we'll keep moving back. Okay, I think that's the spot for 43. Yeah, okay. So that other one was low. So I'm gonna go grab my arrows. We'll keep working back until we get to 60. I think I'm gonna move the target that way a little bit as well, because I have my truck parked back here. Back here at 60 yards on the dot. Now the goal is to get this just to the perfect setup tape number. Find exactly where we're hitting dead center on this setup tape, and that's gonna give us the corresponding number to our full sight tape. So let's just shoot a little bit. I'm sitting at 38 right now in the setup tape. Let's see what this looks like. Okay, I think I'm running just a little bit low. Let's bump this to 41. Let's see what that does. And at this stage, I'm okay. As long as I hit the target, I'm happy. If it goes too high, we just bump it back down, but don't make major adjustments, because then you're gonna lose arrows. That looked like it was about center. hard time seeing. I got a tuft of grass in front of the target down there. I think I'm still just a hair low. Let's try 43. So I just went up 2 marks on the tape. Ooh, that was a perfect X. All right, we're gonna shoot this last arrow, go get it, and see if we can get a good group in the center. And then we'll know this is our tape. That sounded good. Oh man, those things are flying so good. All right. These look good, but I could probably maybe just 1 mark. Let's go ahead, we're gonna bump it up 1 mark. I mean, I am right there, but it's averaging about 1 inch low. So we'll go 1 more mark on the tape, shoot a group, and see if that can lock us in. Yeah, just need it's just a little low on those, so let's go, I'm gonna go right to that 45 mark. I think that's our number, folks. Well, we found our sight tape. 45. Let's go get those arrows and I'll show you how this goes on. I'm glad we found it. It's starting to get hot out here. Sun is coming up. That's just about what I want. 60 yards. I mean, we can improve for sure, but hey, this is, that's dialed. The reason those aren't all in the X is I'm a human. This is how it goes. So I am happy. Number 45 is our new sight tape. Let's get this sight tape on. Come with me. You can see here, number 45. If I can focus right there. That's gonna be the sight tape I pick. I'm gonna have out to 135 yards on that tape. Not bad, HHA, I like it. Now what I like to do with these tapes is get them nice and straight, wrap them all the way around, and if they overlap, which these ones tend to do, I'll show you here. Yeah, so if you can see, that's gonna overlap the original, so I peel back up the front that I had and just tuck that under. That'll keep everything nice and tight. Put that over top. All right. Good looking tape. So we now have 20 all the way to 135 with this setup. Okay, we got our new tape. Now we are just gonna shoot some longer distances and make sure everything's locked in and lined up. So here we go, we're back at 75 yards right now. So this will be my first time shooting 75 with this tape. We shot all the way back to 60, get it sighted in. We'll shoot 75, and then we'll move that target a little farther down and see how it goes. See how that looks. Feels good. Shot a little high. It's probably me. Oh yeah, that one broke off nice. Nice clean break. Yeah, dead center. I would argue that our sight tape is locked and loaded. Well, thank you for watching. If you have questions about any of the tuning tips or any of the steps that I took today, let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to help, happy to answer those questions. And if you like this kind of stuff, if you want to see more, please hit the like button, leave us a comment. That stuff really helps. Brand new channel. We are continuing to grow, and there's lots more where this come from.